Going to record? Recording in progress. Hello, everybody.
Hi, welcome to our look at 2022. I'm here with Dorothy Morgan.
And
Dorothy
I'm here
Morgan's
with
here.
and I'm here with Nancy Jean.
Yeah,
Hi.
what an occurrence. And we just decided to take kind of a broad brush look at 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And Dorothy's going to tell me which planets I need to ask her to pedal faster, make them move.
Well,
And
I might be able to read their signs, but I don't know if I can make them do anything.
Yeah, I know. I used to have a friend, she'd call me up and she goes, "Is there some damn planet on me? Can you move it?"
No, I have people ask me that all the time. It's like, yep.
And no, I can't move it, nor can I change your cards, nor can I change your crystals. But we're going to talk crystals, we're going to talk astrology. And Dorothy brought something up to me the other day that I think is really important, and I'm going to let her talk about it. But we really don't need to be doing our resolutions on the 1st.
Right.
We need to wait till the new moon, and I'm going to let her explain all that away right now.
Exactly. I'm going to explain it. So, plenty of people, even people who aren't in the metaphysical world, everybody says New Year's resolution. And, this time of year, it's today at this recording, it's the last day of 2021. And so, we're looking at, what am I releasing? What am I letting go? That song, Auld Lang Syne, is about, releasing the past so we can move forward. And I mean, it is a calendar year, and that's important to clelebrate, which is fine. However, don't just hang on just a day or two. It doesn't usually happen this close to a new year, but we have a new moon, and I know plenty of people who don't even do New Year resolutions. But anyways, the new moon is when the lunar phase is what we should be paying attention to, as opposed to the calendar year. So if you're if you're into these things, if you're watching us, you're into something. If you're into these things, I mean, it is so important that you get a lunar calendar, because to me, that's what really is the important process to look forward to in regard to, New Year resolutions, right? I mean, there's been times in the past where we've had to wait a couple weeks into January before we have a new moon. But this year we're fortunate. So from, any of the time, if you're listening to this before the new moon, which is on January 2nd, Eastern time, it's at 1:33 p.m. on Sunday, January 2nd. So adjust according to your time zone. Okay. So anytime after that is beautiful, perfect for writing out those intentions and setting those goals. However, to set goals, you need space, you need room to bring in something new, to start a new pattern or a new habit, whatnot. So, and this is what we should be doing. Usually it's around 2 days. It's approximate. It's called the balsamic lunar phase. It's the final phase before the new moon. And when we're in that lunar phase, that's when it's important for us to go within, spend time alone, however that looks to you, contemplate, release, surrender to what it is you want to let go. So it coincides with December 31st and January 1st and half of January 2nd, where we can release, let go, do the rituals that you like, whatever it is important for you, whether it's taking a bath and releasing everything and it goes down the drain, burning, saging, whatever your process, do what's comfortable for you. I can't tell you what your process is. Everybody's different. I mean, we can always make suggestions, but everybody's different. So follow that process and allow yourself to write things out, burn them, whatever you want to do. Be safe with your burning. And I mean, and excuse me a sec. Sometimes I talk too loud and I strain my voice. Take your time and process. And then for a really good thing, I'm going to recommend you get a lunar calendar, or find some app that will tell you when is the new moon and when is the full moon. Again, at the full moon, not before. Before is about releasing. So at the new moon and until the full moon, the waxing lunar phase. This is simple to check. It's just really easy in any calendar. is when you bring things into your life, you initiate new action. If you watch me here on YouTube, subscribe to our channels, please. If you watch us here on YouTube, I mean, I put up a new moon and a full moon forecast every month, plus additional content that I feel is important. And I will tell you how to use the new moon every month and when it is, if looking at a calendar, it gets just too complicated for you. And so the releasing is after the full moon, while the moon is in a waning phase, and that goes on for a couple of weeks. So it's a small cycle, the lunar phase. There are bigger lunar cycles, which we won't talk about today, but this smaller phase is important. So if you were to check back in calendar years when you set goals that you never accomplished or didn't go anywhere with them, there's a pretty good chance that we were in a waning lunar phase at that point in time. So this year we don't have much time to wait, and we get this new moon in Capricorn, which is about logic and stability and feeling safe and secure. And we recommend those are the things that you focus on. What makes you feel safe and secure, even in this crazy, messed up world? What makes you feel safe and secure? And so that's just the little tidbit. That's what you and I were talking about the other day, something I just wanted to bring up and I thought would be kind of fun to go back and forth. So on to you.
And one of the other things you can do for resolutions is it's really hard to say, today I'm changing my world. You know, I'm going to write it. So, I did not come up with this. I got it off Serious Keto. So go see Steve if you want to hear about his part of this. But a year ago, he came up with this thing where he'd pick one habit he wanted to get rid of and one habit he wanted to start.
Yep.
And he did it every month. Now we could time it to the new moons, what you want to build up, and the full moons, what you want to let go of. So you don't have to do them all at once. And then you kind of give the habits test drive. And one of the things he had put on his first time was he's going to take cold showers, because there is something the physiology of your body is it's better to take a cold shower. Apparently my body did not get the message. I can't take it.
I would when I'm camping and we have outside showers, it's just like, it's like, oh, that's good. And when I'm camping, it's usually hot as the dickens anyway. So
you don't care, but it's, anyway, but that was the one he picked the first month. And then I forget what the other thing was, but you just do it in little chunks that are usable, and he found out that he actually does feel better when he takes those showers, when he ends a shower that way. So he's continued to do it. He's had several other things. He kind of reports once a month what he's into that month for changing.
Nice.
And that makes some sense to me as a much better way to change and a much better way to put yourself forward.
Yeah.
The other thing that Dorothy and I are talking about is every year I pick a word that becomes sort of my word for that year. And last year, when I picked it, it was on this day a year ago. I said I wanted to go with the flow. I wanted to get in flow. And I did for about 6-7 months. I really got in the flow and things just kind of came in and it was just wonderful. But this year, my word is going to be frequency. And the reason I'm discussing frequency is because we keep telling everybody, you're going through this ascension, you're going through these changes, vibrations are changing around you, you need to increase your frequency. Well,
yeah.
As sensitive as I am, I don't know whether my frequency sometimes is, I know when it craters, but I don't always know when it's up. So I've been studying dowsing. So I'm going to be working with dowsing and working with frequency and however that word comes into my life this year. I'd like everybody to pick their own word. You can put it in the comments below. Let us know what your word is. And it's just a good exercise just to start to sort things out.
Yeah. Yep. And we have a fair amount of planets in air signs, especially Saturn. And throughout the first quarter, especially of 2022, I'm going to grab my video here, my notes. The first quarter of 2022, we have a Saturn in Aquarius. Of course, Mercury moves through there rather quickly. That's in March. And then we have connection between Mars and Saturn, and Mars, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, all of these guys. This is the first quarter of March. In March, especially. Saturn's already there, but the faster planets will move in later. And that is, frequency, that's air, that's the vibration frequency. And that's what in the sign of Aquarius. So that's what that represents. And so the first quarter, and especially March and April, with some of these things going on, these planets are going through areas where Pluto's going to go to eventually. In 2023, Pluto eventually moves into Aquarius, but we're going to get clues and hints about that starting in March, what that looks like. So raising our vibration, if we're looking at Aquarius, it's also humanitarian causes, right? What's important for the world at large. And it has a ton to do with that. And it also has to do with technology and our social connections with each other. So there's a lot of things that are really going to be making a larger shift as we move through 2022 into 2023. Yeah. But right now, let's just look at the moon.
Yes.
And your frequency, because that's a great word to use with the Aquarius energy. That's really hanging out with us this year.
Very good. Okay, so that sort of covers the first quarter, and Dorothy wanted me to bring in some crystals. So
yeah,
and
I love this stuff. I have a ton of rocks and crystals, tons of them, lots of different ones, but I don't play with
what
them.
I'm going to pull is I'm going to pull out of the crystal. Well, this is easier to see. This deck, crystal reading deck. Cards.
Got it.
And I'm going to just pull one. And so this is a crystal. This is a vibration. This is a frequency for, it's great. It's hematite.
Oh, hematite. Is that grounding, right?
It's grounding. It's grounding. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be grounding ourselves. Hematite has some fascinating forms. There's it's a form of hematite. It's called specularite. And it's as black as that, but then it's got little white, gemmy looking stones that are encased in it. Nice. It looks like a man-made object, but it's absolutely incredible. And you can only find it in northern Minnesota, I think.
No kidding.
But hematite is for grounding. And I think with the things that are flying around us in the universe, we need to do a little more grounding. And I realize the first 3 months of the year are not the time that in parts of this country where you want to go for a long walk, but you do need to get outside and touch trees and stuff. If you can't get to the ground because there's too much snow between you and there, you can at least touch the things that grow out of the ground.
I know. In the middle of January, February, I usually I have snowshoes, and cleats, so I will walk because I'm in New Hampshire, for those who don't know. So it's pretty snowy here. And not yet though. But I'm always hugging trees. And people walk around the path and they see me hugging a tree. And I'm like, oh, just a hug. I need
it's an old friend. It's an old friend.
It's an old friend. Yeah. Yeah. And that first part of the year too, astrologically, just to connect in as well. We have Venus retrograde right now until the end of January. And so she will have us, the first actually month or two, January, February, has a lot to do with connecting in relationships because it's all in the Capricorn sign, the earth sign. So Mercury is retrograde till February 3rd and Venus is until January 29th. And then they have to kind of move past the area that they were retrograde. So it will take all of February for us to get to a point where we can feel a little more like this forward movement. But officially from February 4th until April 29th, we have no retrograde planets. So this is a major forward movement. There's a lot of the Aquarius things happening, like I mentioned a minute ago, meaning where we will have a lot of connections in that element of air. So a lot of fresh ideas, new ideas, things like that. So there's a lot of positive stuff going on for those first few after the retrogrades are over. And again, all the way from February 4th until April 29th. And April 29th is when Pluto retrogrades. And I don't find that one is overly retrograde-y. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not like Mercury, which makes your phones go nuts and your car not start, you know.
Or Venus retrograde, which we have right now, which is reevaluating finances, Venus, or money, Venus, or our relationships, Venus. What we value is changing. And if you haven't had a shift in what you believe and what you value over these last 2 years, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, you're watching the old TV shows and not paying a bit of attention.
Indeed. So yeah. So what about that second quarter there, Nancy Jean?
Okay, let's see what I'm going to pull out from a stone for the second quarter. And we're going to summarize the year in the garden. You guys didn't think you'd escape without going to the garden, right?
Go to the garden. Now, for the people in my channel that don't know what the garden is, it's something Nancy Jean has invented and created. You can see it. You channeled it. You created it too through channel.
Yeah, I did.
She'll show you, but if you look at the very left of her screen, it's that blue silky thing over there, and she'll show it to you when we get to it.
I'll show you. To explain otherwise, but I was going to say, in last year, in that period of time, we also had a period of time from sometime in February on that we didn't have any retrograde, and that's when I channeled in both of the things I created this year.
Yes, that does happen. Okay. That does happen. It doesn't happen always, but we are in a few year cycle where we won't have any retrogrades. Yeah, the retrograde period last year was brief in January, but then it came back through in it was the end of February all the way until the end of April, pretty much the same time.
That's right. Yeah. Because that's when I channeled in the garden and the eggs. Anyway, this is what we got. We got selenite.
Oh, perfect.
That's so cool. Spiritual awakening. So that's the second quarter. It's going to be spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And so if you get grounded, then you can awaken your spirit, because you can be ready for it to be woken up. Get woke.
There you go. Yep.
It's white translucent. And so what we've gone with hematite was the first crystal we pulled. That's base. That's the base. Yeah. Then selenite is the crown. So we're our energy is going up and down us. And that's a good thing. That's a nice thing.
I use selenite a lot for clearing all my stuff. I actually have some under my feet right now. I'm always sitting with the big chunks like the size of my arm. It's right down here on the floor. So I always have my feet on it, but when I'm working. But yeah, I like it. Excuse me. Yeah, but we just have a lot of forward motion, except for then we have our next retrograde in May with Mercury retrograde in Gemini. The retrogrades of Mercury this year, I have a video on that already posted on my YouTube channel. However, the retrogrades this year of Mercury, they start in the air signs, which is we're thinking and processing, and then they retrograde back into the earth signs, meaning, wait a minute, now I need to bring this into the ground, because lots of times Mercury will retrograde in just one element in a year, but this year the phase has it that it begins its retrograde in the early air sign and retrogrades back to earth. So bringing ideas and bringing them back down, or old ideas, finishing them up. And that's through the whole year because we have, the 3 retrogrades every year. Yeah.
For those who are more aligned into tarot, air is like swords.
Yes. Yeah.
And grounding is like pentacles. Okay. So if you think about it, pentacles are the only suit in the tarot that is actually physically in the world. That's the things you manifest, that whole suit. That's what it's about. But swords, despite being disruptive and things that you have air and thought. And so.
Okay. You froze there for a second. So
yeah, my internet says it's being unstable.
Jeez Louise. Okay. All right. What's the next quarter? Let's keep going before we run out.
So now we've gone through to June. So we're going into summer, June, July, August, September, that.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Let me see what we're going to pull.
That's the third quarter.
That's the third quarter.
I know I did a whole forecast the year ahead, but that's still for sale on my website. So I don't have things um, like itemized like you do here as far as quarters go, because I just sort of bring it all together month to month to month to month. So yeah, we have Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto retrograde.
Oh,
and
really?
Jupiter, and
It's a neat
Jupiter.
card. It's called Nuummite.
Oh, nice. Looks like
Another
an
black
egg.
one. It's a
Yeah.
healer. It's black and it has brown and white flecks in it. And it's a reasonably recent stone. It was found in Greenland and Newfoundland in the late 1800s. And then they found it in the Alaska Gold Country. It's up there.
Wow.
And it's a very powerful stone. I know people who have them. One of the women who reads her garden, she throws Nuummite into the garden. I give you stones and tell you how to work with them, but she has, and it's a weird spelling. It's Nuummite because I think it is Native First Peoples word.
Oh yeah.
So they put lots of vowels and things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and it's black and gold, and it actually covers all the chakras. It's appropriate to all the chakras.
Yeah, it really is. That
Belly,
feels
base.
cool. That feels like a really nice stone. It reminds me of just deep history. Yeah.
And I tell you, it's the stone of the warrior and the shaman. It supports your journey into your shadow self, creating a sacred space to create deep wisdom, increases strength and endurance, assists in your journey of self-mastery, and assists your all aspects of love, including loving yourself. Because I think too often we got to go out and love people well. Love yourself first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, in a way, if we were to look at the eclipses for the year, this year, the eclipses, there's 4, April 30th and May 16th are the spring eclipses, Taurus and Scorpio, and October 25th and November 8th, Scorpio and Taurus. So it's the Scorpio Taurus axis this year. We'll have another one next year, and then it shifts to the Aries Libra. But anyways, needless to say, these are fixed signs. So Earth, Taurus is the Earth, and the Scorpio is the transformation, the deep internal shamanic work, or the deep transformation that you do. One is water, that's the feminine, the energy of psychicness, if you will. And then, of course, the earthy Taurus, and helps us to bring things in that are grounded. So that is
when did the nodes move? Have they moved?
They just did a couple days ago.
Okay.
So their motion is retrograde mostly, and they just shifted back in just a couple days ago. So they're now at 29 degrees of Scorpio and Taurus.
And then they'll do that for like 18 months.
18 months. Yep. And it's 19 months. So 18 and a half to it's 18 and a half months. And so 19. And so, and that's typically, that's where the eclipses tend to run in those zones. They, they shift out just a little bit at the very beginning and the very end, but, we'll have 6 eclipses. Actually, I can't even state that, because sometimes we'll have 6 eclipses in a year. And
I know.
Yeah.
It depends on how the planes.
It is, because
guys, this is where it gets into the astrology that's making people.
The astronomy. This is the astronomy of it as well. Astronomy, because they are one and the same, even though it was divided by the church a long time ago. But yeah.
I know. Church. Okay, so now where are we going, kid?
Thank you. 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, last quarter. So October, November, December.
Okay. Pull out. Oh, petrified wood, our ancestors.
Wow. Nice.
And so after this year of where we get grounded, then we go up to our crown chakra, then we start to heal. Then we get to this wonderful, wonderful wood. And petrified wood, its base also, it's crystallized wood, just exactly what it says it is. It's strong grounding stone, and very strong at centering. Assists in connecting you with tree spirits to receive the deep wisdom.
Nice.
Awakens deep knowledge that lies within the blood and bones of your ancestry. So this is where some of that karmic stuff that, because, karma's not always bad. Karma can be good things. There's a lot of good stuff we know.
Karma is karma. It is what I owe you, you owe me. We're here to learn about or to do or to pay back. It's used in a derogatory way, but that's not the truth of it. It's just like, karma's instant. Well, good karma's instant too. So yeah, I don't like it. I always have a little bee in my bonnet about that one.
Yeah, I think the flow, the way I see the crystals flow this year, we start going to our base and getting grounded. Then we go up into the air and work with that. And then we have that healing stone in there. And then we get to a point where we've done enough of the shadow work, we've done enough of that sort of stuff that we can come to terms with our ancestry and our frequency. And that all has to do with if you're a person who believes in and is working in ascension, you're
Uh-oh. You froze.
I know, you froze. You say I freeze, and I say you freeze.
Okay.
And once again, it says my internet connection's unstable. Why don't you just tell me that before I say really good stuff? Anyway, those
what was that?
Those four crystals for your year.
Yeah.
Would be wonderful, and none of those stones are that expensive. You can get, and none of them are actually stones that people forge. There are crystals that they dye and do all other sorts of stuff too. So those are real stones, and they're real things to work with. So that would be energy.
Perfect. All right.
To work with. So
nice. I love it. All right. What's next? What do you want to show us on the garden?
Okay, we're going to show you on the garden.
Yeah.
I'm going to shift you to the garden, guys. I'm the garden. Ta-da.
Yay. I love it.
And what we're going to do for the garden is, the way the garden works is, this is the thing I channeled in February. And at the very center are the fire, water, air, and earth, just like the four suits in the tarot. But I used the shamanistic view of this. So earth is where things emerge from. Water is where things flow out from. Fire is connection to our ancestry and to the past. And air is new thought. Dorothy was talking about new thoughts that we're bringing in. And it depends on how things lay. So what I'm going to do is, normally I cast 5 stones, and they stand for body, mind, spirit, grounding, and clarity. And I cast them in, and then I read them in each of these spaces. And you say, well, who invented them? What the spaces say? I actually channeled that in on a Saturday.
I was so casual about it. I channeled it in on a Saturday.
Well, what happened is I said, I'm throwing stones in this thing, and I didn't have any definitions, and I was like sort of beginning to get things. And I said, okay, guys, I can't send this out to people without giving them better instruction. So they sat my butt down, and I literally started at 10 in the morning and got up at 2:30 that afternoon, and I had typed out the whole cheat sheet.
Good for you. Good for you.
Sort of like coming up with an astrology chart that fast with nothing there before. Okay, so this is, and I'm going to use this. This is a really interesting stone. It's a fluorite, and it's an octahedron.
I have one just like that. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. And I'm going to use it because it's one of my favorite stones, and it's green, and green is for growth, which I hope this year will bring us.
Yes.
And so this is the crux stone. It's going to tell me how I have land by where it lands. So, landed in water. Right. So that's what we need to be getting rid of, where things are moving that we're getting rid of. And so
we're moving emotion. We're moving emotion.
We're moving emotion. Yes.
Yeah.
And so then I take the other 5 stones. You go there. And this is the body, this is the mind, this is the spirit, this is the clarity, and that's grounding. And that's where I use my little cheat sheet that I told you. I still use a cheat sheet because what happens, I'm going to start with the body, and the body is between path forward and false. And the other thing you need to know about these spaces on this board is if you get the garden and right now, my garden's on sale at my website, crystaldirections.com. And if you get a garden between now and the end of January, I'm throwing in one free sort of tutorial with me where I go over all this with you. But
Nice.
these are the cheat sheets, which you can see it's got these details. But when I channeled this in, then I had 28 days of visions of where I would just wake up and I'd be in one of these spaces and I'd see the whole story. And I have all those written up and you get that too. So path forward, physical feelings will move you to your next steps. So when you deal with your physical feelings and the false, when body's in false, it says, listen to your body for feelings. Go with your gut. Let's go with that instinctive gut feeling.
That makes sense.
So that's how we're going to move forward. And then we've got the mind is in earth, and final thoughts for our situations are coming. So we're capable of generating them for ourselves. If we listen to our gut, just don't deal with it from our intellect. If we deal with it both ways. Grounding. Oh, no, spirit. We're going to spirit. Spirit's in a great place. Spirit's in the sacral chakra space, and that means creativity. And when spirit's there, spirits is going to be inspired by new and creative energy. And that energy is actually this is a transformation that is going on right now. And as a matter of fact, we've been transforming and it's about to come forward. So these things all tie together. So then grounding is in earth again.
Which sounds like hematite to me.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, this is pyrite.
Pyrite. You got it. Yeah. That's pretty heavy, isn't it? It's like
it's really heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavier. This little teeny tiny stone is heavier than this stone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's the way they are. And we're in the middle of this transition. This says more is coming through. We have to let our mind and our body connect and let our gut instincts tell us where to go. And clarity is going to come out of our relationships with our past. And the clarity says, use ideas that you've carried out of your past. Remember we said we're going to do shadow work and look at things we knew? This is where this shows up. It says, use the ideas you carry from your past and past lives to find out how you're going to move forward in this year. And that sort of ties together with all the stones we got. We're getting grounded, go up to the crown chakra. So
and it works with this, the eclipses as well. There's always other things that help propel us forward or allow us to hit pause to figure stuff out. However, that's the Scorpio. Yeah, that's the Scorpio of these eclipses, and the lunar nodes moving through Scorpio and Taurus. It just helps us to, or encourages us to go through that transformation,
right?
Which is fine. Pluto rules Scorpio, and again, Pluto's at the end of Capricorn now. It's conjunct the USA's Pluto as well. This March is, February, March is.
What is it? February 20.
It's the end of February, early March. And that's again when a few other planets all come together at that point too. Let me grab that chart for myself. Yeah, Mars, Pluto, Mars, Venus, and Pluto are all conjunct at 27 Capricorn at the end of February, exact early March, and that is right on the United States Pluto. And we are in a transition. We are in a big transition. It's been going on for a couple of years. If you hadn't noticed, I mean, it affects globe, but this is us, the United States chart. And so yeah, there are big changes coming in. It's going to take another couple of years before we even find any resemblance of what the base is going to be again. I mean,
Right.
we're we're already, there's so many people already in revolutionary mode anyways, just because whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, people storming the Capitol or people fighting for, the underdog, or, really,
Mm-hmm.
being out there and really fighting for the disenfranchised people. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius things, and those are all Pluto conjunct Pluto things. So you can, it doesn't have to be, the end of everything. It's not the end of everything. It's the end of a lot of things. But when things end, something else is beginning. So there's not going to be a gap. It just looks really messy. It's like giving birth. It's a mess.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's like,
it's a mess, but it
it-
works.
I can remember 2 years ago when I was working. I worked New Year's Eve at
Mhm.
times 10 2 years ago. Did a lot of 12-month readings, and it was so strange
Mhm.
because I knew about the conjunction on January 12th of the big planets that are. If you watch that documentary on Prime called
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
the
Yeah, I haven't got there yet. I
yeah, the
just haven't watched it
pandemic,
yet.
the astrology of pandemics.
Pandemic,
And
yeah.
if you really kind of want to see how you can work with astrology over time, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But people were saying to me, I said, there's going to be this conjunction in January, and we're not altogether sure what's going to happen. But what I was seeing in everybody's 12-month readings was in spring, everything stopped, or there was enormous upheavals or changes in everybody's jobs. And I was like, huh? What's going
Right.
on?
Now we
And
know. Yeah, that was 2020.
that
It's
was
just,
2020.
yeah.
And it was the last party I did was for a guy whose birthday was January 12th. He was born under it.
Yeah.
And when I sat down and read his cards, I looked at him and I said, "Does your wife know you're selling all your businesses?" And he said, "No, and please don't tell her." I said, "I'm going to break it to her gently." Well, I don't think he
Yeah.
had a chance to break it to her gently because within a
Yeah.
month of that, we were closed down.
Yeah.
It's no longer in
Yeah.
the outer world business.
Oh yeah, that was January 10th.
Mhm.
January 10th, 2020. I know I have 3 years of calendars in front of me here. That was an eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that was, home. I mean, of course it impacted
Yes.
everybody, but it was definitely home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think about it, all the people who've had to change how their work goes. I mean, very, very things we thought we like, I'm going to be in this job and I'm going to stay in this job. I spent last night talking to someone for an hour who had recently quit her job and is doing something else now. And she said, "I'm having to learn how to rearrange my own time because now I'm responsible for me."
Mm-hmm.
I've been in that mode for so long, it doesn't strike me as odd. But
I know,
you
me
know,
too. Me too. Just being self-employed and,
yeah,
doing this is what I do. And so, yeah, so for us, it's one thing, but that's what we do. I know I do, I know you do, and I know plenty of other people in our businesses. And, we help support others who are trying
oh
to find
yeah,
their own way, and can help them. I think that one of the biggest important things about the astrology is a perfect stranger talks to me and I'm confirming things in their lives. And it's just like, there you go. So that should give you the confidence that you're
right.
believing in yourself and you're taking your steps and doing the things that you want and need. Because again, it's all about our own choices and what we're focusing on, what's important to you. It doesn't mean the
Mhm.
outside world doesn't hurt us or impact us, because it does, but we still are our own authority. And
Well, and pick pick what you want to work with this year. Kind of
yeah,
if you're thinking about a certain stone for a certain reason, Google it.
yeah.
Put the metaphysics of and look,
Mhm.
and there'll be some contradictory things. There's some
Yeah.
stones that you get into and they're like for everything.
Yes,
And
that's true.
you
That's
know,
true.
well, of
I have
course, you use quartz for anything, but
yes,
um,
I have a book of stones. I love that book.
mhm.
It's pretty amazing. It's not like you can carry it in your pocket though, because the darn thing, even the
No,
pocket version is like
yeah,
heavy.
I know it's a coffee table book.
Yeah, it is. It sure is. I love it. But anyways, yeah. So to tie all this up, if we want,
Mhm.
you know, do something like your New Year resolutions, but go ahead and do that. But look at the new moon. Start doing it like Nancy Jean was saying, and her keto friend there. At the new moon, do something new. Write, journal. I always recommend people journal. And if you don't know what you want to journal, like setting a goal, at least journal how you're feeling. Because that's going to be important. That's important for other lunar cycles that are happening. And if you follow me, I'll talk about them in other videos. But like longer, it's a 3-year cycle for another type of lunar phase thing. But month to month, back to that, new moon to full moon is when you want to invite new things or set goals, do rituals or whatever you want to call them based off of what you want to bring into your life and what you want to increase. And then when we get to the full moon, and get out those lunar calendars and do it to the date, to the time after the full moon, it's waning, full moon to new moon. That's when you start letting things go. You release what I did last, that's not working. I'm just going to like back burner it or just forget about it. And I'm just going to release that. And I'll spend a couple of weeks just sort of letting that go.
I always say the new moon's like, it's dark and it's like a little seed, and you plant the seed in that dark space.
Exactly what
and then it grows. And the same thing is, when you're in the full moon, you get the reflection of the sun. You can see what you've got, and then you say, "Do I really want to keep this?"
Yeah,
and
it's time to harvest, or if it's not working, then you just let it go back to seed. So yeah, I use that. I use the garden. I use a garden analogy all the time. Not your garden, but I use the growing analogy all the time, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, farmers for millennia have been using the lunar cycles for their plantings.
So I'm going to pull one last card for us.
Okay.
And it's going to be, I've fallen in love with this deck. It's the Secret Language of Color.
Beautiful.
And the colors are gorgeous. The illustrations are great.
Nice.
And I
play with this deck all the time, Native Spirit deck.
Yes, that's a beautiful deck.
It's my favorite deck. I have it right here. I pulled the same card 3 days in a row, so I think I really need to go into that card when we get done.
Yeah. Yes, let's look at that one. Okay.
It's like, it's the warrior. It's which one is it? It shows
okay, this is a great card for us to end with, and looking forward to the next year. As we're speaking today, I want to let people know that I was exposed to COVID and I was positive. I went yesterday to be tested, and I should have tested out negative, and I haven't. I've become a repository for the little crap. I'm a little plague monkey. Anyway, so what I have to do is apricot, rejoice and laugh.
Oh, there you go.
You just got to laugh about it, kids, because, there's just not a whole lot else you can do.
And it has a lot of vitamin C.
And it has a lot of vitamin C. And
hopefully D as well, because those are all good for us and good for those viruses. But you're getting better, and that's what counts. So you might still be germy.
Don't feel bad. That's what's so frustrating is I don't feel sick, but apricot lightens any heavy, burdensome energy you may be carrying. To bring enormous vitality, joy, and zest into your life.
Good. I love it. It's beautiful.
Today is the day for rejoicing. Remind yourself that all the golden moments you've experienced in your life, find 5 joyful moments this day. Wear something with this color and say, Divine Spirit, please awaken joy, laughter, and spontaneity in my head and my heart.
Nice. I love it. Namaste.
That's a great deck. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us for New Year's. I don't know if we've helped you,
everybody. I love it. I love it. I wanted to. It's nice to have a collaboration. I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, you still got a good cough though.
Yeah. Okay. I will talk to all of you in the new year. See you next year.
Blessings, everybody. Namaste.